It's Tuesday, January 31st, and this is your coffee break on the HAN Network. I'm Kate Czaplinski with the latest local news, including a major cleanup in Monroe after a heating oil spill, a fire in Stratford yesterday, and much more. Frank Granito is back and we'll have your Nutmeg Sports update and tell us more about that snow that's likely to be messing up the evening commute. Later on, Donald Lang joins us to take a look back on this day in history. And with snow starting to fall in the area, we will be running a list of some early school dismissals and closings during the show. We already are seeing some snow falling out there, but again, Frank will tell you more about that later on. First, on to today's news. A Monroe road will be closed for several days after an oil truck spilled 2,500 gallons of oil on Judd Road yesterday morning. According to the Monroe Volunteer Fire Department, an oil truck went off the road while swerving to avoid a deer and struck a tree before spilling those 2,500 gallons of oil into wetlands. Easton Police Sergeant Will Spencer said the State Department of Energy and Environmental Protection crews were on the scene, but that it's going to take time to clean it up. Easton Police said the truck driver is from Parkway Oil Company in Fairfield. According to officials, people aren't banned from their houses, but traffic will be affected. That work involves checking whether the oil has seeped into water supplies nearby and streams. And in Stratford, a Parkland Drive home caught fire early Monday morning due to hot ashes from a fireplace that were placed outside the home. Firefighters responded just about 1 in the morning Monday to the house at 25 Parkland Drive. Fire Marshal Brian Lampart said the fire had extended up from the garbage bins left next to the garage, creating a large amount of damage to the side of the home. Lampart said hot ashes from the fireplace were placed in plastic bags and then put outside. 4 engine companies and a truck company were able to bring the fire under control there in about 15 minutes, and there were no injuries. With assistance from the town building official, the fire marshal's office was able to isolate the damaged area from the living space, allowing the home's residents to stay. And a Shelton man faces a maximum of 20 years in prison for admitting that he had robbed a total of 4 different Chase Bank branches last year. According to court documents from Monday, January 30th, Scott Taylor of Shelton pled guilty in Hartford Federal Court to 1 count of bank robbery prior to admitting that he had robbed a total of 4 different bank branches in 2016. Taylor admitted to robbing the Chase Bank on Main Street in Westport on June 2nd, 2016, the Chase Bank on the Boston Post Road in Milford on June 24th, the Chase Bank on Washington Street in Norwalk on July 6th, and the Chase Bank on Main Street in Stratford on July 13th. Taylor allegedly stole an estimated $23,000 during the first 3 robberies and $1,000 during the July 13th robbery. He was arrested at the Stratford train station shortly after he allegedly completed that July 13th robbery and was found in possession of just under $1,000 in cash and 33 folds of heroin. Taylor is scheduled to be sentenced on May 3rd. And in Stamford, a teenager was robbed at gunpoint right after getting out of work on the west side Sunday night. The Stamford Advocate reports that the fast food worker was on Stillwater Avenue near Fairfield Avenue at about 11:15 when 2 young men approached him and pointed a revolver at him, according to Sergeant Robert Shawinski. Both robbers held the victim and took his iPhone, wallet, backpack, and bicycle, according to the report. The backpack was found near the area a short time later. Police said the suspects are about 6 feet tall, appeared to be teenagers, and were wearing dark-colored hoodies. One of them had dark skin and the other was more light-skinned with heavy acne on his face, according to police. And in other news, a 3rd arrest has been made in the murder investigation of Sterling teen TJ Allen. Police say 19-year-old David Howard of Sterling has been taken into custody for his involvement in the missing person turned homicide investigation of 18-year-old Todd Allen. This was the 2nd arrest made in that case. Howard's been charged with tampering with evidence, hindering prosecution, and interfering with police. He was released on a $125,000 bond and will appear in court on February 10th. State police found the remains of Allen back on January 13th after he had been missing since the day after Christmas. Allen had told his family he was going out for a dirt bike ride and never came home. Search parties looked for him for weeks. Police previously arrested 19-year-old Kevin Weissmore and charged him with Allen's murder. Court documents show that Weissmore led police to Allen's body in the woods near his home. And last Friday, they made a second arrest in the case, Dustin Warren of Sterling, who was also charged with tampering with evidence, hindering prosecution, and interfering with police. And 2 waiters working at the Roger Sherman Inn restaurant in New Canaan were charged with 4th-degree larceny and conspiracy to commit larceny for allegedly stealing $1,500 in cash. On December 29, 2016, New Canaan police took a complaint of larceny that had occurred at the Roger Sherman Inn restaurant on December 25th. An investigation determined that 45-year-old Mario Montez of Norwalk and 50-year-old Eduardo Navarro, also of Norwalk, stole about $1,500 in cash while working there as waiters. On January 27th, Navarro turned himself in and has a February 6th court date. On January 29th, Montez turned himself in and was scheduled to appear in court on January 30th. But let's switch gears now and throw it over to Frank Granito for a look at the forecast, which I know is a little messy today, Frank. There's some snow on the way.
That's right. Thank you. And snow has actually started to fall around the county. We have a live look right now at downtown Stamford as snow beginning in the last 15 minutes or so. We want to say the National Weather Service has issued a winter weather advisory for snow, which is in effect now from 10 a.m. this morning to 6 p.m. this evening for southern Fairfield County. A winter weather advisory for snow means that periods of snow will cause travel difficulties. Be prepared for slippery roads and use caution while driving. Snow accumulations will range between 1 to 4 inches around the county. Temperatures will sit in the upper 20s for most of the day, so there will be that freezing effect as well. Periods of snow will continue on through midnight tonight before starting to clear up for Wednesday. Partly sunny on Wednesday and a high of 43. We'll see cloud cover developing later in the afternoon and winds picking up between 20 to 30 miles per hour. But all that should break by the late evening as we'll enjoy clear skies heading into what should be a nice stretch of sun-filled days. But again, make sure you're using extra caution on the road today as we are going to see periods of heavy snow on and off through about midnight tonight. We'll have more weather again, though, in about 15 minutes, Kate.
All right, thanks so much, Frank. We are keeping an eye on those weather impacts. We're going to step out for a break, and when we come back, Frank Granito will have your Nutmeg Sports Update. Donald Ang will take a look back on this day in history, and we have some more news after this.
It's all about meeting goals this year, and Trinity CrossFit of Ridgefield has experienced trainers, top-of-the-line equipment, and a newly renovated space to help get you there. Offering more classes per day than any other CrossFit gyms in the area, we cater to all fitness levels. Our coaches have a combined 10 years of experience in CrossFit, and as competitors themselves, Trinity coaches can get you ready for competition in 2017. Visit our convenient location on Route 7, Danbury Road, or find out more at trinitycrossfit.com.
Whether you're looking for the freshest seafood, the perfect steak, or want to share delicious appetizers, look no further than the Stone's Throw in Seymour. Chef Peter Haum has more than 30 years of experience creating original recipes in his American eclectic style. Our dishes are made from scratch with fresh, local ingredients that pair perfectly with a seasonal craft beer, a signature cocktail, or your favorite wine. When you visit our Riverside location, you'll feel like you're on vacation when you're only a stone's throw from home. Visit us on Roosevelt Drive in Seymour or at StonesThrowCT.com. At the Milford Bank, we offer an extensive selection of lending products and services to meet virtually any need. Submit your application online in our Mortgage Web Center. Start to finish, you can apply for a loan in as little as 10 minutes. Our knowledgeable and helpful staff are available to meet with you at your convenience. To learn more about what we can do for you, stop by one of our Milford Bank offices or visit us at milfordbank.com. The Milford Bank, always there. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Discover a world of wellness in the heart of New Canaan. Halo Studios, New Canaan's first collaborative wellness center, offers you the freedom to choose from the best and latest health, fitness, and wellness options. Inside Halo Studios, you'll find all the wellness experts you need at places like Halo Fitness, Priority Wellness, and Sama Yoga Center. Come by for a free wellness assessment, open 7 days a week at 45 Grove Street. For more information, visit halostudios.com or call 203-594-9909.
If you're watching this broadcast, you're not alone. The HAN network is available for 200,000 Connecticut cable customers on the Frontier Network. And we've also reached 1.7 million viewers on our free live streaming sports, news, and entertainment broadcasts. To reach our rapidly growing audience, contact Advertising Director Jessica Murrin at 203-273-7312 or email jessica@han.network.
We're back on this January 31st edition of your coffee break on the HAN network, and it's time to take a look back on this day in history with Donald Eng. Don.
Well, Kate, the new year marked the beginning of the end, but first we go to 1848. John C. Fremont is court-martialed for mutiny and disobeying orders after he essentially staged a coup. Fremont has an amazing rags to riches to rags to riches to rags story, a major in the U.S. Army. He had proclaimed himself governor of the California Territory during the Mexican War, which is why he was court-martialed. He then got very rich through questionable land deals during the California Gold Rush, but lost his wealth in dozens of fraud lawsuits. Then got elected senator, then was appointed commander of the West by Abraham Lincoln, then went bankrupt in a railroad scheme. Then got appointed governor of Arizona by Rutherford B. Hayes, then resigned because while serving as governor, he was actually living in Staten Island, where he later died. To 1865. Congress passes the 13th Amendment to the Constitution, abolishing slavery. Now, Lincoln had issued the Emancipation Proclamation 2 years earlier, but questioned whether that executive order was constitutional. Starting his lame duck term, he made the amendment his top legislative priority. Illinois, not surprisingly, was the first state to ratify it just 1 day later. By December, 27 of 36 states had followed suit. 1945, Army Private Eddie Slovic executed for desertion, the first such execution since the Civil War. Slovic had been separated from his unit during an artillery barrage when he froze in fear and everyone else moved out. When he found his company 6 weeks later, he asked to be assigned to the rear, telling his captain he would run away under fire and asking if that constituted desertion. Told it did, he left and walked to the rear unit where he presented a cook with a signed note declaring that he had deserted. Slovic expected a dishonorable discharge and prison time, which he preferred to combat, because of the 21,000 Americans court-martialed for desertion in World War II, only 5 were sentenced to death. Slovic was the only one whose sentence was carried out. Eisenhower himself approved the sentencing. They actually made a movie about it. Martin and Charlie Sheen, Ned Beatty, and Gary Busey are in it. Finally, now we go to 1968 for this.
Military police got back into the compound of the $2.5 million embassy complex at dawn. Before that, a platoon of Viet Cong were in control. The communist raiders never got into the main Chancery building. A handful of Marines had it locked and kept them out. But the raiders were everywhere else. By daylight, Tongan Boulevard, where the embassy is located, was a battleground. No one, unless identified, was allowed in the street.
Get out, dude! Get back!
An Australian military policeman was standing guard, firing warning shots to keep the street clear.
That was the Vietnam War. Viet Cong guerrillas attacked the U.S. Embassy in Saigon and other targets throughout the South. Though a decisive U.S. and South Vietnamese victory, the Tet Offensive turned the battle of public opinion against the war, as Americans who had been led to believe that the North was on the brink of collapse realized that the Vietnam War was nowhere near being won. As you look back in history for today, January 31st, and I'm Donald Eng.
All right, thanks so much, Don. Well, in other Connecticut news, a gunshot was fired in the direction of a state trooper parked on the side of an interstate highway in eastern Connecticut early Monday morning. However, that trooper was not hit. Just before 2 in the morning, that cruiser was parked on I-395 southbound near exit 18 in Norwich in the Gore with all of its lights off, conducting motor vehicle enforcement when shots were fired at the cruiser. Troopers stopped that vehicle and initiated an investigation, and through the course of it, it was determined that the vehicle passenger, Wesley Hine, fired a Glock 19 9mm handgun out of the passenger side window towards the cruiser. The vehicle operator, Joshua Richardson, and Wesley Hine, a passenger, were taken into custody where they were fingerprinted and photographed. Hine, who's 23 years old and lives in Lisbon, was charged with unlawful discharge of a firearm, illegal carrying of a firearm under the influence of drugs or alcohol, and reckless endangerment. Richardson, who's 23 years old, was charged with conspiracy. But let's throw it back over to Frank Granito now for a Nutmeg Sports Update. Frank.
Thank you, Kate. And let's start by announcing that today's HAN Network game featuring Greenwich and Stanford West Hill in boys hockey has been postponed. That one of just a number of games that have been postponed around the state. We'll have a full list of those on Nutmeg Sports this afternoon at 2 o'clock. We'd also like to offer a special congratulations to New Canaan Rams head coach Lou Marinelli, who has been selected by the National High School Athletic Coaches Association as one of the 8 finalists for the 2017 National Coach of the Year Award. Coach Marinelli was nominated by Connecticut's Coaches Association and was selected as a finalist based on 6 categories: longevity, championship years, winning percentage, service, honors, and membership. The NHSCA convention will be held June 19th through the 21st in Peoria, Illinois, and the National Coach of the Year in all sports will be announced during the banquet that weekend. This is the forget that again. Nutmeg Sports at 2 o'clock. We will have all the postponements and cancellations for you as Kevin Coleman joins me. We'll also be joined by head coach Chris Rurik of the Greenwich Cardinals, who will talk with us about what's going on so far this FCX season and when they expect today's game to be rescheduled for. That'll do it for this Nutmeg Sports Update. Let's go back over to Kate.
All right, thanks so much, Frank, and we'll be checking in with you later for a weather update. But back to some local news. After the Darien Times reported recently on a Syrian refugee family being sponsored to move to the area, the Times has received numerous calls, emails, and tweets asking about the well-being of that family received by St. Luke's Parish. The last few days have been filled with turmoil and questions about just what the future holds for refugees. Well, Amy Rebecki, one of the leaders of the group from St. Luke's Parish that worked with Integrated Refugee and Immigrant Services, got an update from the IRIS as to the current state of affairs. That executive order from President Donald Trump halts the flow of refugees from Syria indefinitely, along with bans from other Muslim-majority nations. IRIS was unable to comment on the status of any future refugees or efforts from local groups that had not yet brought a family to the United States. However, the family sponsored by St. Luke's was able to make it into the country prior to the executive order being signed. According to Rebecki, they're here and they're safe. She said that she does not see the situation changing, but the chaos caused by that executive order means that nothing is definite. Rebecki added that the family is lucky to be in Connecticut and that our state has a great history of helping refugees. But there's more on that story at DarienTimes.com. And in Ridgefield, alternating one-way traffic is scheduled at the state's Route 35 construction site Wednesday, February 1st through Friday, February 3rd. Ryan Wojcinski, a site manager with the state's transportation department, told the Ridgefield Press on Monday that the delays will take place from 9 in the morning to 3 p.m. between the Fox Hill Condos entrance and the Recreation Center driveway. Lane shifting started at the Route 35 bridge project 3 weeks ago and will be accompanied by occasional alternating one-way traffic. You can always look for updates at theridgefieldpress.com. And there will be a vigil this evening, Tuesday, January 31st, from 6 to 7 p.m. at Milford City Hall. The group Milford Speaks Out is organizing the event to show support for the Muslim community and to help make Milford a sanctuary city, according to a post on the group's Facebook page. Organizers say they want the world to know that we stand united against the president's unlawful and hateful action. But there is no word yet on if the weather will affect that vigil, but you can always find out at milfordmirror.com. We're going to step out for a break, and when we come back, we're going to recap some of the top stories we're following today on your coffee break after this.
Have a sports injury or slip and fall that needs immediate care? Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care gives you direct access to an orthopedic specialist fast, without an appointment. Basketball, hockey, skiing, whatever the sports injury is, sprain or fracture, Coastal Ortho Express can help. Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care, open Monday through Saturday, now in 2 locations. The iPark Building at 761 Main Avenue in Norwalk and 36 Old Kings Highway South in Darien. Or go to coastalorthoexpress.com, like them on Facebook.
While there's still a bite out on the water, most anglers have decided to stow the gear for the winter. Just because Mother Nature isn't cooperating doesn't mean you can't see the latest models of all your favorite gear. With 2 convenient locations, it couldn't be easier to get your fix of summer. Boater, beach bum, fisherman, or simply love the New England coast, this is a unique place to shop. The Dock Shop, 51 Tokenique Road, Darien, 609 Riverside Avenue, Westport, or on the web, dockshop.com.
Want to reach new heights in your fitness and health goals? Find what you're looking for at Elevation Spin, Train, and TRX in Georgetown, Connecticut. Elevation Spin gives you purposeful spinning workouts inspired by the road. We encourage monitoring of heart rate and energy zones. Elevation also offers customized personal training with dedicated professionals passionate about helping you reach your goals. And let us motivate you to reach greater performance and functionality with TRX suspension training, using your own body weight for an incredible dynamic workout. Located at 4 Old Mill Road in Georgetown, call Elevation at 203-544-9503 or visit elevationspintraintrx.com for more.
Want a new experience in car buying? No aggravation, no confrontation, just answers to all your questions. Scap Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. Car buying the way you want it to be. With one of the largest selections of new 2- and 4-door Jeep Wranglers available, we are Connecticut's Wrangler headquarters. Located in Fairfield, Connecticut, we're easy to get to. Just 2.5 miles off the Merritt Parkway, exit 44 via Route 58 South. Save thousands right now during the Start Something New sales event, now through January 31st.
Are you looking for new opportunity this year? How does growing a business with unlimited income potential sound? Christy Kinsman is a local entrepreneur building a global health and wellness business in Fairfield County. Offering cutting-edge anti-aging skincare, all botanically based and paraben-free, and a complete vegan, clean-eating nutritional plan, Christy's looking for business partners that can help get others healthier while taking advantage of an untapped market. Take that first step to freedom from the 9-to-5 grind by learning more about the products and our mentorship program. Contact Christy at thelittlehousheshop@yahoo.com.
I'm Frank Granito.
And I'm Donald Ing for the HAN Network.
Tune in to Nutmeg Sports Monday through Thursday, where we bring you all the top stories from Connecticut sports.
From highlights to player interviews and expert analysis, no one gets you closer to Connecticut's games than Nutmeg Sports.
Nutmeg Sports, now Monday through Thursday at 2 p.m. on the HAN Network.
We're back on this Tuesday edition of your coffee break on the HAN Network, and it's a snowy Tuesday. It's starting to come down pretty hard out there, and we are still running a ticker of some of those early school dismissals and closings at the bottom of the screen for you to check out. We're also recapping some of the top stories we're following today, including that a Monroe Road will be closed for several days after an oil truck spilled 2,500 gallons of oil on Judd Road yesterday morning. According to the Monroe Volunteer Fire Department, an oil truck went off the road while swerving to avoid a deer, striking a tree before spilling those 2,500 gallons of oil into wetlands. Easton Police Sergeant Will Spencer said the state's Department of Energy and Environmental Protection crews were on the scene, but that it will take time to clean up. Easton Police said the truck driver is from Parkway Oil Company in Fairfield. Officials also said people aren't banned from their homes, though traffic will be affected. That work involves checking whether the oil has seeped into water supplies in nearby homes and into streams. And in Stratford, a Parkland Drive home caught fire early Monday morning due to hot ashes from a fireplace that were placed outside the home. Firefighters responded just after 1 in the morning on Monday to that house fire at 25 Parkland Drive. Fire Marshal Brian Lampart said the fire had extended up from the garbage bins left next to the garage, creating a large amount of damage to the side of the home. Lampart said hot ashes from the fireplace were put into plastic bags and then put outside. 4 engine companies and a truck company were able to bring the fire under control in 15 minutes, and there were no injuries. With assistance from the town building official, the fire marshal's office was able to isolate the damaged area from the living space, allowing the home's residents to stay. And a Shelton man faces a maximum of 20 years in prison for admitting that he had robbed a total of 4 different Chase Bank branches last year. According to court documents from Monday, January 30th, Scott Taylor of Shelton pled guilty in Hartford Federal Court to 1 count of bank robbery prior to admitting that he had robbed a total of 4 different branches in 2016. Taylor admitted to robbing the Chase Bank on Main Street in Westport on June 2nd, the Chase Bank on the Boston Post Road in Milford on June 24th, a Chase Bank on Washington Street in Norwalk on July 6th, and finally a Chase Bank on Main Street in Stratford on July 13th. Taylor allegedly stole an estimated $23,000 during those first 3 robberies and $1,000 during the July 13th robbery. He was arrested at the Stratford train station shortly after he allegedly completed that robbery and was found in possession of just under $1,000 in cash and 33 folds of heroin. Taylor is scheduled to be sentenced in court on May 3rd. And in Stamford, a teenager was robbed at gunpoint right after getting out of work on the west side Sunday night. The Stamford Advocate reports that the fast food worker was on Stillwater Avenue near Fairfield Avenue around 11:15 when 2 young men approached him and pointed a revolver at him. Both robbers held the victim and took his iPhone, wallet, backpack, and bicycle, according to the report. That backpack was found near the area a short time later. Police said the suspects are about 6 feet tall, appeared to be teenagers, and were wearing dark-colored hoodies. One of them had dark skin and the other was light-skinned with heavy acne on his face, according to police. But let's switch gears, throw it over to Frank now for one final look at the forecast. Frank.
Thank you again. And snowfall has started around Fairfield County. We have a look from downtown Stamford about 30 minutes ago when that snow first started coming down. Heavier fall right now as the National Weather Service has issued a winter weather advisory for snow, which is in effect from 10 a.m. this morning until 6 p.m. this evening for southern Fairfield County. A winter weather advisory for snow means that periods of snow will cause traffic difficulties. Be prepared for slippery roads and make sure to use caution while driving. Snow accumulations will range between 1 to 4 inches around the county. Temperatures in the upper 20s, so there will be a freezing effect as well as we get later and later into the day. Periods of snow will continue on through midnight tonight before starting to clear up before Wednesday. So make sure you are using extra caution when on the roads today, especially as we get later into the afternoon with heavier periods of snow falling then. That's going to do it for that final weather update. Let's go back over to Kate.
All right, thanks so much, Frank. It is coming down pretty hard right now. It's piling up.
And of course, we've got a lot of cancellations going on with sporting events, Kate. We're going to cover all those on Nutmeg Sports at 2 o'clock this afternoon.
All right, so Nutmeg Sports at 2 o'clock. We'll also be doing our best to keep you updated on the snowfall. You can follow us on Twitter at HAN Network CT. We're going to wrap things up here on your coffee break, but we will see you tomorrow for Coffee Break at 11. Have a safe day.